Hello and welcome back to the Sometimes Daily Show. I hope everyone had a good holiday period. We here at the show sure did. We got drunk as a skunk and formed a socially distanced medieval jousting tournament. Basically, we just sat in office chairs 2 meters apart and threw cardboard tubes at each other. Anyway, the Microsoft Stickdrift lawsuit. Before we get into it, I'm Michael Palmer.
And I'm the King of Card, the Lord of Board, the Jousting Champion Supreme, or Philip Edwards. Since April 2020, Microsoft has been entangled in a class action lawsuit pertaining to Stickdrift. Stickdrift being the technical marvel that makes joysticks, after a short amount of use, begin registering an input that the user isn't doing.
The lawsuit states that Microsoft failed to disclose this technical fault to the consumers and thus is seeking a controller fix or monetary compensation for every person who purchased an Xbox controller in the United States.
This case is incredibly similar to the one brought against Nintendo for the exact same reason. Stickdrift on the Nintendo Switch. And in some sick act to follow the leader, Microsoft is seeking the same resolution.
In a court filing that was made over the holidays, Microsoft has requested that the case be taken out of the courts and instead handled by personal arbitration. Their motion states, quote, "Plaintiffs repeatedly agreed not to bring a lawsuit like this in court. Instead, they assented to the Microsoft Services Agreement and to warranty agreements in which they promised they would arbitrate disputes on an individual basis using a consumer-friendly process before the American Arbitration Association. The Federal Arbitration Act requires enforcing these agreements," end quote.
As someone who speaks legalese, let me translate. We know in a court of law, in front of a jury, we would absolutely lose this case. We know that if we did lose this case, we'd probably be required to track down and give compensation to every single person who purchased a controller. So instead, we're going to pull out some obscure part of the service agreement that says, if you use our stuff, you pinky promise not to sue us. That way, we can force the case into personal arbitration, thus forcing the burden of proof onto the people we screwed over. Now that's a lot of work, and most people won't go through with it. So we save a bunch of money.
As we mentioned earlier, this is the same thing that happened in the Nintendo case, and as it went to personal arbitration for Nintendo, it's very likely that it will go the same way for Microsoft. If we hear anything else about it, we will be sure to do a video on it. That's going to be it for today. If you liked the show, then consider hitting that like button, and if you want to catch more of our content, then click that subscribe button. And lastly, if you're feeling extra spicy, why not leave us a comment and let us know. Would you even be interested in going through all the work that would be required for you to get a small bit of compensation, or are you not that bothered by it? Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.